Welcome back. I am in a new setting. I'm in my craft room because my husband is in his studio and the music is too loud where I read the book. And if you hear anything, that's my fan blowing because I'm hot. Okay, before. When Hannah returned to Oxford after the Christmas break, it was a sense of coming home. Why is it called Hilary Term? Her mother asked in the car on the way to the station, and Hannah answered without even thinking. Because the feast of Saint Hilary of Portlers falls in the middle, and then wanted to laugh at herself, at who she had become. How did she know this stuff after just one term? It didn't matter. She knew it, just like she knew how one acquired a blue and what you wore for collections. Collections. Even the word gave her a squirmy feeling in her stomach. 3 little syllables. Not much to feel nervous about, but she did. They're on prelims, she had told her puzzled mother. You take those at the end of the first year. Collections are done at the start of every term and cover what you learned the term before. So they're just tests? They don't mean anything? The thing is, her mother was right, but also so wrong. Collections didn't count towards your degree classes or really anything as far as Hannah could make out, and yet everyone was in a flat spin about them, even the second years, who had sat through the ordeal several times already. What's the point of 8-week term? Will had texted her on Boxing Day. When they just make us do the rest of the work in the holidays, is it just so the tutors get time to write their books? I can't believe all my mates are out getting pissed and I'm stuck here revising. Hannah had to admit he had a point. It wasn't just the collections giving her an uneasy feeling, though. Seeing the text from Will had triggered a sharp rush of pleasure, followed by an equally sharp stab of guilt. It was ridiculous that just his name coming up on her phone should make her grin like an idiot. He was April's boyfriend, completely off limits. But the problem was that while her head knew that, her heart didn't seem to be able to remember it. Before the holidays, she had half hoped that her crush on Will was wearing off, and surely 6 weeks' absence would give her plenty of time to forget his wry grin, the shape of his long, slim hands, and the way he looked at her across the crowded JCR with a smile that made her heart light up. But that one single text had shown that was not true. She still liked him a lot, which made her officially the worst best friend in the world. Instead of replying to Will, she typed out a text to April, trying to assuage her guilt. How are you? Merry Christmas. Hope you had a lovely day. Thanks, April texted back. It was fucking awful though. I did get a tote so every cloud. Pause. How was yours? Pretty okay, Hannah typed back, though no tote every silver lining. Ha ha, April texted, with a picture of a laughing frog. Now, as the train drew into Oxford Station, Hannah had a rush, not a homesickness, but of whatever the opposite was. Homecoming? Maybe. The thought of Pelham and April and their little room high in the rafters made her smile with a happiness that even the prospects of collections couldn't dim. She was getting off the train when she saw Ryan up ahead of her on the platform and half ran, shoving her way ruthlessly through the crowd of students to try to catch up with him. It wasn't easy. She was wearing a rucksack and dragging a suitcase, but she caught him at the ticket barrier where he was rummaging in his wallet. Ryan, how was your holiday? Hannah Jones, Ryan said with a broad grin, and he turned and gave her a bear hug. How are you, pet? I'm good. How are you? Pretty sweet, yeah. Had a good holiday, but I shuffed to be back. I bet you Miss Emily. Missed the sex anyway, Ryan said with a grin that dared her to react. Hannah rolled her eyes. You know full well if you actually were the sexiest pig you pretend to be, Emily wouldn't touch you with a barge pole. She's like all clever women, Ryan said, yanking his bag through the turnstile. Secretly wants a caveman to throw her over his shoulders. Hannah shook her head, refusing to rise to the bait. They shared a taxi back to Pelham, swapping gossip and catching up as it wound its way slowly through the crowded streets. Fucking collections, Ryan groaned when she asked him about his revision. Yeah, I'm revised. I like to pretend I didn't, but we can't all have a rich daddy to donate a library wing if we flunk out. It's all an act, Hannah said, a little nettled on April's behalf. You know that, right? All that party girl, I don't care stuff. She actually works pretty hard and she's bloody clever. It isn't just her, though, is it? It's all of them. All them private school types getting the shock of their lives as they realize we can't all be the top of the class. I mean, look at me and Will. We're mates, sure, but only one of us is going to come out at the head of the list, and we both want it to be us. Everyone at Pelham does, and for some of them, it'll be the first time they don't. Hannah nodded soberly. It was true. Pelham wasn't the most academic of the Oxford colleges, but it certainly leaned that way, rather than towards the sporting drinking culture of some of the others. On a scale from work hard to play hard, Pelham definitely prized the first move more. But nor was it the most mediocre of the colleges. As Ryan had pointed out, it had a high intake of private school students, higher than the already high Oxford average. Taken together, the two made for a weirdly febrile atmosphere that combined academic privilege with a panic realization that no one here was getting a leg up. There were no kindly teachers to help with cramming or hint at which papers to revise. Here, there were no extra classes, no mummy or daddy to organize after-school tutors, and emergency summer school. You were on your own, sink or swim, and Hannah had no idea which camp she would be in. Hannah! The shriek set Hannah's ears ringing as she opened the door to the set, and someone barreled across the living room to fling her arms around her, almost knocking her off balance with a heavy rucksack. April! Hannah set down her case, laughing and hugging April back. How are you? Sorry your Christmas was a bit pants. Pants is not the word. It was big steam pile of crap, April said, throwing herself back on the sofa. If it wasn't for my sister, I'm not sure I'd bother to go back next vacation. You have a sister? Hannah was surprised. She wasn't sure why. April had never explicitly said she was an only child, but somehow Hannah had just assumed that was the case. Yeah, she's 11 and a little brat, but I wouldn't leave a dog alone with my parents at Christmas. Oh, by the way, she threw out a hand at a small gift bag sitting on a table in front of the sofa. I got you something. For me? April, you shouldn't have. Well, I did, so suck it up. Surprised, Hannah wriggled her rucksack off each shoulder and made her way over to the armchair in front of the fireplace. The bag was small, white, and made of stiff card with handles of thick black ribbon, and inside was a miniature parcel done up in holly green paper. Carefully, she took it out, unpicked the tape, and drew out the little jewel bright box inside. Chanticleer, Hannah read out. It wasn't a brand she knew, but she could tell from the packaging and the feel of it in her hand that was probably because it was far too expensive for the makeup counter at Superdrug. Is it nail varnish? Lipstick, April said. I'm so fed up of seeing you use that horrible Axel grease you call makeup. She took the box from Hannah, pried open the top, and said, Mouth open, please. Hannah did so, parting her lips in that strange frozen smile that little girls learn from watching their mothers in the mirror, and closing her eyes as April stroked her mouth in a gesture so intimate a shiver ran down her spine. When she opened her eyes again, April was looking smug. I knew it. Go and look in the mirror. Hannah did. The girl that stared back at her was herself, but not herself. It was Hannah, but her lips were soft, full, and a deep rose pink that begged to be kissed. The color was dramatic without looking clown-like, the way her dark red lipstick had. It was somehow perfect. Thank you, she said to April, and then without really meaning to, Hannah found she was hugging her friend, feeling her fine, bird-thin bones, her face in April's cloud of platinum blonde hair, and smelling that strange dark scent that April always wore. I love you, April. I really missed you over Christmas. Hannah felt rather than heard April swallow against her shoulder, an intake of breath, a catch in her throat. She felt April's fingers tighten on her spine as though she almost didn't want to let go. Then she was pushed away, and it was the same April rolling her eyes and laughing at her. Yeah, right. You sentimental cow. Now come on, let's go down to the bar. I've got some drinking to do. After. Rainy days have always been Hannah's favorite in the shop. It's not good for business. The regulars stay home, and the tourists get taxis to the museums instead of browsing up and down Victoria Street and the lanes surrounding the castle. But the truth is that although Hannah likes the customers, they are not why she came to work at Tall Tales. She has always felt safest surrounded by books. The library back in Dodsworth, happily browsing the early readers while her mom graded papers in the reference section. Blackwell's in Oxford, a cornucopia of culture, everything from X-Men comics to Bologna, an actual living temple to literature and learning. The quiet of the library at Pelham, with the low shaded lamps glowing off the dark wooden desk. Hannah had never understood people who get married at their college chapel. She has no religion. She feels no connection to that remote place with its palms and hymns and Latin lessons. She and Will got married at Edinburgh's town hall in a civil ceremony that lasted only a few minutes. But the library? Yes. If she could have married Will in the Pelham Library that she could imagine, in the deep quiet, surrounded by all the humankind has ever known about love, every novel, every poem, every word. So when she came to Edinburgh all those years ago, running away from the unanswered letters from Pelham, filled with questions about her future that she couldn't answer, perhaps it was natural that she looked for bookshop posts. A professional librarian position was out of the question without a degree. So was work at a publisher. Once Hannah had dreamed of being an editor, stacks of manuscripts on her desk, and a wall of books she had edited in her living room. But the adverts of specified a BA at minimum. Some of them asked for a master's or specialist qualifications. Bookshops were not so prescriptive. Kathy didn't even mind about her lack of retail experience. As long as you love books, she said, it'll all work out. So she didn't graduate. And it had. At first, she and Kathy had worked side by side. Kathy teaching her how to work the till, how to keep track of stock, who to help and who to leave alone. Now, 9 years on, Kathy is semi-retired and is Hannah as much as anyone who runs the shop. She and Robin between them. It's Hannah who speaks to the reps, checks the stocks, decides how many of the new Paula Hawkins they will want, whether to put another author I can't pronounce, sorry, in the window, and when to ask Ian Rankin for an event. Robin is their children's specialist and takes care of the shop's Facebook page and Twitter feed. Today, it's been raining hard since 12, and they've had only one customer in that time, a young man who has been browsing in the back room of the shop for a while. Kathy doesn't like them to harass the customers with offers or assistance unless they look actually lost. Nothing worse than feeling jumped on, she always says, but customers who lurk out of sight in the back room are a bit of a red flag for shoplifting, particularly students with a rucksack. And it's the notification section, housing some of the most expensive books in the shop, academic reference volumes, and the 50-pound Tashkent art books. If you were going to steal stuff, that's where you'd start. He needs to shit or get off the pot, Ryan whispered to Hannah when she comes back from the staff room to find him still there, and Hannah laughs. I'll go and see what he wants. She coughs as she enters the nonfiction section, not wanting to be seen to sneak up on customers. The man straightens and turns around, and Hannah sees that he's not as young as she thought. From the other side of the shop, there was something about his sandy hair and flushed cheeks that made him look like a teenager with a school bag. But up close, she can see he's quite a long way past that. And as he stands, she catches a pink flash of scalp through the thinning hair at the back of his head. He's probably in his mid-20s, a little younger than her. Not a student then. What? And probably not a shoplifter either. Can I help you with anything? She asks. Oh, hi, he says. Yes, actually. His voice is tentative, and there's a slight lilt in his accent. Not Scottish, Welsh maybe. I'm looking for a biography of Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy? Hannah feels her lips thin. She tries not to be judgmental about reading. No such thing as a guilty pleasure, is Kathy motto, and it's one of Hannah's largely subscribed to. Jeffrey Archer to Geoffrey Chaucer, Outlanders to the Outsiders. They all need the wheels of publishing turning and more money coming into the tills, and if they give someone a few hours, that's good enough for her. But still, she doesn't really understand why anyone wants to buy true crime. Why would they voluntarily soak themselves in the misery of people like her? I'm not sure, she says, trying to keep the tightness out of her voice. You're in the right place. It'll be in this section if we have one. If not, I could order one in for you. They stand side by side with their heads tipped, looking down the stack of true crime biography. And at last, Hannah shakes her head. No, sorry, it doesn't look like we do. Was it specifically Bundy you were after, or can I recommend something else? I'll Be Gone in the Dark is supposedly very good. She taps the spines. I haven't actually read it, but my colleague Robin liked it a lot, and it had great reviews. It's about the hunt for the Golden State Killer. It's not exactly a biography, more about an investigative side of things, I think. Okay, he says, somewhat to her surprise. He pulls it out of the bookshelf, a hefty hardback retelling at north of 20 pounds. Thanks, I'll take it. Great. Was there anything else? Hannah asks. She's turning away for the till, expecting him to say no, but something in his face catches her. He's looking oddly nervous, expectant. Actually, yes, he says. His voice flutes up half an octave like a teenage boy's. Are you Hannah J. Jones? She stops in her tracks. Her whole body goes instantly stiff, and then her cheeks flame with heat. For a long moment, she just stares at him, frozen, trying to figure out what to say. Should she lie? Walk away? Refuse to answer? It doesn't matter what she says. Her stricken silence is an answer in itself, and she can see from the man's face that he knows it. in spite of the subtle ways she's changed her appearance since the trial. The glasses she started wearing full time instead of just for watching TV, the long hair she sacrificed to anonymity. The difference is enough to fool the casual observer. But this guy is clearly far from that. He's trying not to look pleased, but he is. He has hit the bullseye. Who are you? She manages at last. Her voice surprises her. It is a hiss of anger. Who are you? The young man's pink and white face falls a little, and he looks slightly hurt. I'm a writer. My name is Durant. Of course. I'm sorry, he's saying. I emailed asking if it would be okay if I popped past to introduce myself, but I didn't hear back, so I thought, fuck. The man is still speaking, something about an article, a podcast, an interview, but the words make no sense above the ringing in her head. I can't do this, she says, interrupting him. Her voice is still harsh and strange in her own ears. Not here. You can't come here again. Do you understand? I'm really sorry, he says, and now he looks it. His face is crestfallen. I should have thought. It never occurred. Just go, she breaks in desperately, and he nods and sets the book gently back on the shelf. I am really sorry, he repeats, with more emphasis this time, but she's walking away from him now, unable to look him in the face, unable to think of anything except getting away from him. Ryan said, it's that one word that breaks the spell. Ryan. She stops, turns around. You spoke to Ryan? Yes, he's a good friend. It was Ryan who suggested coming to see you. How is he? He's all right. He's better than he was. She swallows, unable to admit that she wouldn't know because she hasn't seen him for more than 5 years. What kind of friend does that make her? I really am sorry, the man, Durant says again, miserably this time. I really apologize for springing this on you like that. I should have realized this wasn't the right time and place. It's okay, she says, though it's not, and it never was, and she wants to kick herself for saying it. Look, email me, okay? I'll reply, I promise. But you can't come here. This is my work. They don't know anything about that time. I understand, he says, dropping his voice to a whisper as though they are conspirators. I'll email. Thanks, Hannah. And then he's gone. After the shop door swings shut behind him, Hannah finds her legs are trembling and she gropes her way to the story counter beanbag and sits, her face in her hands trying to stop shaking. Why? Why did she say that about the email? Now she will have to read it and reply. Why? Because it was the only way to get rid of him, she realizes, or it feels like the only way. And because part of her, at heart, is still the nice, polite girl from Dodsworth who wants people to like her and who doesn't want to disappoint anyone or cross anyone or let anyone down. For a brief flashing moment, she tries to imagine how April would have handled the young man. Fuck you, probably, is her most bored, in her most bored, drawing tone, and then laughing after he'd gone, poking fun at his prematurely balding hair, and then she pushes the thought out of her mind. She can't think about April, not now, least of all now. She is heaving herself to her feet when her phone starts vibrating. Her first thought is, what now? And her second is an instinct to silence it, send it to the answer phone. She can't be dealing with her mother, not now, but when she looks at the screen, it's not Jill. It's not even Will. It's the hospital. She presses answer. Hello? Oh, yes, hello? The woman on the other end sounds brisk and a little bit pissed off. Is that Hannah DeChesney? She stumbles over the surname as people always do. The Chast again? Yes. Hannah doesn't bother to correct the pronunciation. Is everything okay? Well, yes and no. It's Ellie here from the midwifery team. We had you down for an appointment at 2. Had you forgotten? For the second time that day, the blood drains from Hannah's face and then comes rushing back. I'm so sorry. She stumbled over her words, and even while she is heading to the staff room, picking her way through the teetering displays with all the haste she can safely muster, I totally forgot something happened. Family stuff. Ugh, no. That word again. But it's too late to take it back. I'm so sorry. Am I too late? Well, you're lucky. My next 2 ladies have arrived early, so I can put you back at 2:20 if you can get here in time. Where are you? Just around the corner. I am so sorry. Hannah had reached the staff room. She grabbed her coat off the back of the door, shrugging her arms into it as she speaks. I'll be there in 5 minutes, I promise. As she hangs up, she sees Robin staring at her over the kettle. Everything okay? Yes. No, I forgot about my midwife appointment. I'm so sorry. Can you hold the fort? Sure, Robin said cheerfully. But calm down. You'll do yourself a mischief. You're a star, Hannah said breathlessly, and then she snatches up her bag and runs for the shop. Okay. That's the end of those chapters. That's all I'm reading for right now. Let me think. She is crushing hard on Will, real bad, real bad. And knowing that she breaking girl code. Hold on one second. No, she breaking girl code. But what is it about Will that got her so, woo. Oh, sorry about that. And then her friendship with April. I'm going to just chalk it up. They got some weird, they just have a weird friendship. And Ryan came up again. Is this the second person that Ryan told to contact Hannah? Or is it the same man, but he told her to email her first and then go to the shop? Ryan, what's going on? What do you know? What are you doing? Like, why is Ryan doing that? Do he want Hannah to just confess about something and get it out? It seemed like he trying to say something, and she better be careful because she gonna get stressed out, and she is pregnant and stuff like that, so she might as well get it out. And one thing that's irking me, it's a little thing that's irking me. When people ask them questions, why do they say yeah, no, yeah? Spit it out and say what the heck is the problem. That's just a little pet peeve. Okay, so that's it for these chapters. I shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.